The Assassin's Creed franchise is an open-world, action-adventure stealth game. In its 14-year history, it has released 12 main games, the most recent being Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Over those 14 years, there has been some good and bad Assassin's Creed games. In today's video, I will review the first Assassin's Creed, which was released in 2007, and discuss if it's a good or bad game, and let you guys know if it's worth buying and if it's worth playing in 2021. I love open world games, I'm a huge fan of them, because of the freedom and the amount there is to do, which is why I was drawn to the Assassin's Creed games. This game was set in 1191 in the Holy Land, and the story wasn't too difficult to understand as long as you paid attention to what was being said. You're playing as Desmond Miles, who is kidnapped by agents and forced to go into a machine called the Animus. The Animus is basically a machine that goes back in time and can see past memories. What I felt they'd done a really good job on was with the combat. It was fluent and the controls weren't complicated. Sometimes I felt the computer would be very hesitant to attack me and would just be standing there, which would slow down the pace of the fight however. Other than that, the fighting was fun. You also unlocked weapons as you progressed through the game, such as throwing knives for example, which were really fun to use. The graphics were also surprisingly good for a game so old. Of course they aren't going to be as good as more recent games, but I still feel they've done a really strong job. I also thought the voice acting was really good, which made the story more entertaining and believable. Now the game's about £9.50 on the Xbox store, or if you have the Xbox 360 disc of the game, you can use that because it's backwards compatible now. But the question is it worth it? Is it worth paying for it and is it worth playing it? Well, let's go into a little bit more detail of the game. Now you probably have around 15 hours worth of gameplay time to finish the game, unless you're going to run around and find all the collectibles. I didn't bother doing it. Why? No point. You get absolutely no in-game reward for finding any of the collectibles, so what's the point? They're incredibly hard to find because they're not showing up on the map, so what's the point? They're hard to find, and you get nothing for actually finding them. The only thing you get is an achievement, and that's if you're lucky enough for the achievement to unlock. I've unlocked about 400 points worth of gamer score, and then about another 400 that's glitched out and not unlocked, so I've missed out on the achievement. So I wouldn't even recommend finding all the collectibles just because you think you're going to get the achievement, because it might not even unlock. So personally, I feel you're not getting enough content in the game, especially when it comes to an open world game. Even if you do collect everything and you see everything there is to see, you'll still only be spending about 20 hours in the game, which really isn't a lot. What I didn't like about the game was the fact it was so repetitive. Not only was the main story missions of kill this person and come back repetitive, but all the side things that you could do were also repetitive. And when I say all the side things, I don't want you to think there's lots of it. There's not much to do, and what there is to do is very repetitive, which can soon turn to boredom. Now I did have fun with the running and climbing. I feel the running and climbing is done reasonably strong. There's enough to grab onto when climbing, and enough to jump over when running to make it feel like a proper Assassin's Creed game. Occasionally I jump from one building to another and just faceplant the wall and fall to the ground, but I feel that just happens with every Assassin's Creed game. It could have been improved by having a more variety of story missions, because that did get quite repetitive, and a wider selection of things to do alongside the story, because you don't just want to be doing the main story all the time. What I was really disappointed with though, was not having the ability to edit any character clothes or appearance throughout any point of the game. The game offers absolutely no customization options, which was disappointing not being able to edit my character's clothes or weapons. Now I said at the beginning of the video, I will discuss if it's a good or bad game. Now I don't think it's a bad game. I think the story is good and I think it's a good introduction into the series. I had fun playing it and I really enjoyed the combat. I just thought that the story was fairly short and repetitive and there wasn't much to do for an open world game. And my other question was, is it worth buying and is it worth playing? Now if you have set your mind and you are going to get the game, I wouldn't bother buying the disc version, because if you get it, it's going to be old, it'll probably be scratched, it probably won't work, whereas if you get the digital copy, it will definitely work, you won't have any trouble. But I wouldn't really recommend the game anyway. I think if you're just looking for a good Assassin's Creed game, this isn't it. There's much newer, bigger Assassin's Creed games with much more to do that you'll have more fun with. I also wouldn't recommend it if you're just looking for a new open world game that you haven't played before, because this isn't the game to get, and it doesn't give you the experience you want an open world game to give you. However, if you are an Assassin's Creed fan, you have been an Assassin's Creed fan for a long time and you really enjoy the franchise, I would definitely recommend going back and playing it. It's still a decent game, even though I've said a few bad things about the game in this video. It's still fun to play, and it's still a good game. I think fans will enjoy going back to the start of Assassin's Creed and reliving a game they played a long time ago. It's also fun to go back in time and play a game so old to see how much the franchise has improved over the years. So that's my opinion. If you're a long time fan, definitely recommend. If you just want a new game you've played, or a new open world game you've never played before, then I wouldn't recommend it. Hello guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to like, comment and or subscribe. This is still a new channel, so I'm just wondering if you guys are enjoying the content.